Okay, so we're here at the Printers Building in downtown Worcester for the opening of the Perfectionists show at the Davis Art Gallery. And I'm here talking to Howard Johnson, who is the principal artist in the show, who put everything together. So first I wanted to thank you for coming out and having your work in our gallery. And I wanted to ask you, what was the process of setting up this show like? I know you had brought in a couple other people. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Process, I just brought in the work and they pretty much set it up. I handed them the resumes, the artist statements. Pretty much all the credit goes to the gallery themselves.
Right. How did you decide what artists you wanted to include in the show?
I needed somebody that... You need somebody representational, fairly figurative, abstract, and with a surrealistic tinge to it, almost a visionary tinge, you know. And so I selected those three from Worcester.
Great, great. I also wanted to know a little bit about the process of your work, because obviously it's got a lot of layers and it's very involved. So I was wondering if you could give us just a basic idea, like what your starting point is and kind of how it evolves.
No, they're basically collages. I cut up all sorts of publications and paste together the text from them, the images from them, and then I draw over them. So that's basically it. I use the drawings are basically done with colored pencils, ink, and colored pencils, ink, ballpoint pen, graphite is a type of pencil I use pretty extensively called an ebony pencil.
Yep.
Yeah, very hard black line, and they're done with that. The paintings are collages themselves. It's a text and imagery mounted on Aberdeen board, which is, what do they call it? That's like a masonite prepared board. You buy it. It's already staged, 3/4 of an inch thick, and then I go and I draw on top of it with ebony pencil. I draw the image and never do a study separate. Usually, if you do a study separately, it'll come out better than the finished drawing. So I start in right from scratch with the study, then I paint over the study, you know, and. But there is no separate study. The original study becomes the painting. You mix to get the textures effect. That's just medium gloss gel or modeling paste mixed with the paint, and then it's sealed with a heavy gloss acrylic.
Okay, great, thank you. When you start working, do you have an idea about what you want to do first, or does it progress once you?
Yeah, no, I have an idea, but it always comes out, like they say, better than. Always come original conception, you know. That's when I know I've done it. I follow the David Lynch philosophy. David Lynch, the filmmaker, and he was a perfectionist too about his work. And he always said, never let it go, never rush. He always said, you know, work it, work it, and work it. Till it looks good to you, then it'll look good to everybody else.
And so, how do you know when you're done? Is there a sign, or you just
it is a sign. It's a sense that, you know. Usually, when I'm done, my meter to being done is about no more than this much space between anything in the painting, you know. And what really starts to pop out at me, I know I'm done, you know.
Great. So as just a final question, know that you've been a kind of long-time Worcester artist. I wanted, if you had any comments about what it's like to be an artist in Worcester. Do you feel like it's a good environment, or has it changed over time?
Well, I've always said you're expecting too much of these huge artists. You know, this is not a global city. This is where art scenes really happen, is in global cities, you know. And New York is the reason that New York is because of Wall Street. The reason Tokyo was there is because of the huge financial exchange, you know. Germany has huge you know, wherever you find these huge financial exchanges, you'll find art, you know. Worcester doesn't have that, so let's not expect we're going to get New York here. Worcester's Worcester, you know. It's the third largest city in New England. It's close to everything. If you get sick of it, you can leave, you know. For a day, just drive there. So yeah, it's not a bad little scene, but it's typical of every other city. It has this little group and little arts co-ops and that type of thing, but it'll never be a global city, you know. They've got to connect a little better. They've got to connect that whole water. What they do is got to do like Providence, connect everything together so people can walk from one place to the other. You need a festive atmosphere. When you can collect Lincoln Square with downtown, with Water Street and Shrewsbury Street, and make a total walking distance, like everything within a half or a mile square, I think you'll have something going, you know.
All right, so one last question. Do you have any just kind of words of advice for someone who wants to be an artist or who's an up-and-coming artist? What would you tell them?
I'd always say, you know, either join a members thing to begin with, but never, never, never answer those things you see in Art in America and the art publications where the art competition, 3 slides submitted for $25. You see them all over the place. They usually hire a big-name curator to make themselves look good, but that's a scam. All the major galleries know what these places are up to. They don't make money. They don't pay their rent by selling these artists' work. They pay their rent by charging them to show. A gallery makes its money by selling art. What they do is they send out an advertisement, 3 slides for $25 or $50 to submit. And say you get 1,000, they do. Some of them get up to 1,000 artists. Say 25, that's $25,000. What happens is it costs them they reject most of them, put 20 or 30 of them in the show. It costs them $5,000 to do the show. They pocket the other 20.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So stay away from those.
Stay away.
Yeah.
We had a big incident here about 5 or 6, close to 10 years ago. This bunch came through out in Woburn Northeast Trade Center. Charged everybody. It's a guaranteed show, $50 per admission fee guaranteed. They got 1,000 artists, $50,000. The show was a disaster. The stuff was thrown out all over the place. It was on the news, and the guy was nowhere to be found. So this is what can happen with that type of stuff,
Okay.
Yeah, so just never pay for a show. The money's either there or it isn't. Just join something, join a good co-op like Kingston and Boston or Bromfield.
Sure.
That's what I offer young people.
All right. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Good advice. All right. Well, thank you so much. Thanks for coming out, and thanks for taking time out of your opening to talk to us.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.